from National Defence Academy, and he was commissioned in 10 J&K Rifle Light Infantry, 10 Jackli in 1981. In his career, he has had many instructional appointments and also staff appointments. He has served in a lot of operational areas, and he has commanded his battalion as well as held many staff appointments. Academically, Sir is a master's in strategic studies, and he's a LLB also. He, as a brigadier and as major general, has commanded a sub-area and an area. He's also a motivational speaker. He speaks on a lot of topics of motivation as well as topics related to national security, Kashmir, China issues. And more than that, after his retirement, a few months back, Sir is involved into a lot of social activities in his hometown and his home state. So we at AMAS are really privileged that Sir has spared his precious time to come and share his knowledge and his experience with our SSB aspirants who all are aspiring to become young army officers. So I'm sure the tips which is given by the general will go a long way in helping you not only get through this and qualify, but also become a very motivated officer in your life. So without wasting any more time, I now invite General Mathur to take this session forward. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, my dear. Am I audible nice enough? Okay, thank you very much. Thanks a lot for having given me this opportunity to interact with the future of this great Indian Army, in turn the future of this great nation. I just want to start with a small one-liner from Sanskrit. It was said by Swami Vivekananda. He said, Uttishtat Jagrat Prapti Varani Bodhat. Meaning to say, arise, awake, and stop not until you attain your goal. I don't think there can be anything better than this to start with when I'm talking to the aspirants of joining this great Indian Army and become a military leader in times to come. This one will go a long way, even if you, for some reason, do not join the career of arms. This one thing will continue to push you, continue to ignite that fire in you, whatever you do, wherever you do. You and me can do everything possible that can be done. All that is required is you need to have the fire to inspire yourself and take yourself forward. There is no question of any dream of yours which does not get fulfilled if you have the light in you to pursue the dream. What is critically required is pursuance of the dream. Now, you people are sitting here. All of you are aspiring to be military leaders. I'll talk about military leadership a little later. Leadership is a vast, very vast subject. It will take days and months to understand the leadership qualities, leadership by itself. But I'm going to talk to you about it also a little while. And what I'm trying to tell you is you are all aspiring to be future military leaders. You have an aim. You have a dream. Arise, awake, and stop not. Stop not until you have attained this aim. And I can assure you, you have reached the best possible hand in the country, which can guide you to be there where you aspire to be. I want to start with one quotation on leadership. Leadership, ladies and gentlemen, I believe ladies are also there in this lot. My dear children, is an art which makes you accomplish beyond the management science fields is possible. Management of science may say that, oh, this much is possible, and the leadership will take you beyond that. This has been amply demonstrated in variety of incidents in the history of warfare. I will quote one instance. Why? Because that one you will be able to correlate, because a movie very recently has been made on Battle of Saragat. Of what military leadership at a junior level can do. 23 people of one unit defending the Saragadi fort last century, last to last century, in fact, 1894 or something. Anyway, that is non-consequential. And they thwarted repeated attempts by 10,000 Afghani marauders. 10,000. 23 against 10,000. And this was because of the leadership of this gentleman who was commanding those 23 men. One ensure junior, most possible junior leader. And he could influence, he could motivate, he could direct, he could provide the vision. I'm using these words because these are the things which are going to come when I talk later about military leadership. I want to tell you a number of occasions when I speak, a question is not normally posed at me that, look, General, what do you do? You have a very well-trained force. You have a system in place. You don't have any targets to match. There are no people breathing down your neck for results. That means your job is probably quite easy and simple. But an answer to that is that all others who feel that they have larger challenges, they have targets to meet, match, they have got people breathing down their necks to perform and produce results, and if they don't, they'll be out. But they are only producing results. I tell them the fundamental difference between all these managers and bureaucrats and everybody else and anybody else is that they manage people to work. Whereas the job of a military leader, job of what you aspire to be, is to lead people to death. I am supposed to, as a military leader, tell my men, whatever numbers, come with me, attack, post, and the chances of survival are minimal. Chances of you becoming a crippled thing forever are most, yet you come, attack, and die. I ask them, the target for them is to give their own existence. That happens because of outstanding military leadership at the junior level, at all levels, in fact. But the real act is at a junior leader level. You have to imagine a scenario that you travel a few days, reach an objective at maybe 20, 25,000, 20, 22,000 feet in Siachen Glacier. You know the enemy post is right across. The icy winds are blowing hell out of you. You're freezing. There are mines. There is enemy fire. And that's the time you want somebody to lead that attack. And I can guarantee you, because of the great Indian Army leadership, what it does, that at that time when a person, everybody has equal chance of becoming a casualty. But the guy who's going to lead is the one who faces the most. But I want to tell you with a lot of pride in my heart and with a lot of conviction that even at that time, when that man who has to lead knows either he'll get killed or he'll become a cripple for the rest of his life, you get more people to lead than you need. That sums up your great army. That sums up the leadership of your great army. And that sums up the difference between a manager or a great military leader. If you can motivate Anybody? Is there anything, I would like to ask you this whenever you can answer me this question, more important than your own life? Is there anything? If there is not, I am, as a military leader, asking you to give that to me. If that, then what is it that makes you do that? What is it that makes you do that? It is very difficult to answer this question. What makes it you do that is not money, is not name, is not honor and award. What makes you do that is Naam Namak Nishan. You have to motivate that gentleman, give his life for a cause, for a higher cause. For that, what happens? It is the self-esteem of that soldier. Self-esteem of that soldier, which makes him give whatever best he has, the life, it can be nothing more than that, for the nation. And how does that self-esteem develop? How do you develop a collective self-esteem of a unit? A unit is a number of people, about 800, 900 people who are commanded, who come from a particular background, and who form the basic unit of Indian Army. Your self-esteem, collective self-esteem of the unit, and connection of that collective self-esteem of the unit with that higher cause. And that higher cause is your nation. That higher cause is not letting down Naam Namak Nishan, ladies and gentlemen. And that comes from where? That comes the basic thing which IM Military Academy, the last step. I would like to quote the Chatwodian motto to you. The Chatwodian motto says that the honor, safety, honor and welfare of a country come first, always, in every time. This gets ingrained into your mind when you are about to be a junior military leader. Then second line, it says, honor, welfare and comfort of the men you command come next. And finally, it says your own ease, comfort and welfare come last, always and every time. And when you have this thing ingrained into you, you create that kind of self-esteem in that soldier, which motivates him, which influences him to sacrifice his own very existence for the higher cause. What must you understand is that the profession which you are aspiring to join, in that profession, there is no runner-up. There is no silver medal. In that profession, either you win or find your way to the grave. It's as simple as that. Now, what makes this self-esteem come into you? Who? Let's put it at who. Who does it? It is the leadership of the army, which makes you get into that kind of self-esteem stream, which will bring you to that level. Your unit's history, culture, the other things that you must teach that Jawan, that soldier. That is where comes the junior military leadership. Now, the leadership actually goes through two, three different things. Leader, what he is, there are some qualities. What a military leader is, that we should know. Then what he must know to be able to exercise his task and create that kind of unimaginable spirit in a soldier for never losing, be it a hockey game in a battalion level or a company level, or be it any sports, or be it any competition, be it a professional competition, whatever it be. A soldier or a unit will go to any limit to make sure that he or his unit wins. Again, because there is no second place in the game of warfare. It is only victory. So unless a military leader is able to influence his men to that level that they accept nothing but victory. So there are three things which happen. What you must be. If you can show those qualities in you, you will be able to be able to exercise that thing into the soldier. Two, what must you know? Your intellectual capacity. What must your intellectual capacity be? And finally, what you do. It is be what you are as an individual. Then what must you know? What should be your, and what can you do? When you talk of what you must be, then first thing that comes to your mind is character. You must have a top quality character. This is the most fundamental requirement for a military leader, and particularly a junior, not particularly, I mean, any kind of any level of military leadership. And in character, there are military values. There are a large number of military values. All those values must be displayed and adopted by that military leader. That is what he must do. Military values. Then he should be empathetic towards. Empathy is another personal requirement, personal quality that a military leader must have. You must be able to look at things from the perspective and the point of view of the other gentlemen. The men, what do they want? How do they think? How do they read you? And there are ethos of warfare. You have to have those ethos of warfare inside you. Next comes, what should be your individual personality be? If you want to be a good military leader, your individual personality, you must possess military bearing. When I say must possess military bearing, it does not mean that aapko 6 foot ka hona hai or lamba chauda tagda ye. That's not that. A military bearing is the way you carry yourself, which clearly, makes you stand out, clearly takes you away from the rest of the crowd. Your military bearing should be military-like. Next is, you should be physically fit. If you want to be able to lead the men, you cannot do things unless you yourself, if there is a task which is to be done at a distance away from your place, and you can't reach there for some reason. So physical fitness, I don't think I need to explain this. I have very little time. Ladies and gentlemen, there's lots and lots that I can talk on, but there is very little time. So I'm telling you, physical fitness is the crux. You must. No military leader can remain a military leader unless he is physically fit. Then he should be composed. Composed meaning, he should be able to show himself right when the things are wrong. When things are difficult, he should be able to remain composed, and do not show negative emotions. Do not display negative emotions. That is the thing. Then he should be confident. Now, confidence is the thing which will make you the habitual of winning. You must be able to tell that man that, look, we have to go and bust a hideout in Kashmir Valley. I commanded my unit there. I have done it a number of times. I must tell him, look, fellas, we can do it. I'm confident of you people. So the confidence in individual himself. So we are talking of the qualities of that individual. So he should be a confident young individual, and then resilient. Resilient ka matlab hai ki the failures should not deter you. There is no perfection in military or any kind of leadership. ladies and gentlemen. No perfection. There will be setbacks. There will be failures. A person who's resilient, he is the one who will be able to handle that failure. ये जो failure का लोग समझते हैं, मैं ये लोगों को ये बताता हूँ कि जो आपको जो लगता है कि आप अंत आ गया, वो अंत नहीं होता, वो अंत आगे की अगली चीज की शुरुआत होती है। मैं लोगों को यही बताता हूँ कि each finish line in your life or in your career is the beginning, is the start line for your next phase. So you should be resilient. You should be able to handle setbacks and failures. There are many examples where Rizangla. We'll go to the examples later if I have time. So resilient. Then comes this is your individual personal qualities. Then what must you know? Your knowledge, your intellectual, your state. What should it be? It says you must have mental agility. Why? But when I say mental agility, is that you should be able to adapt to changing circumstances, changing situations. कभी भी लड़ाई के मैदान में हर चीज आपके प्लान के मुताबिक नहीं जाएगी. इनफैक्ट एक बार की एक समय की बात है जब जनरल पैटन को पूछा था कि भाई व्हाट इज द फर्स्ट कैजुअलिटी इन अ बैटल. पहले तो उसको बताया कि भाई पहली कैजुअलिटी, किसी ने कुछ बोला. When this gentleman said that the first casualty is your plan. तो मेंटल एजिलिटी आपकी होनी चाहिए कि तेजी से बदलते हुए सिचुएशन को मैदान, लड़ाई के मैदान में या कहीं भी, उस सिचुएशन को ध्यान में रखते हुए आप अपना निर्णय बदलें, एम बदलें, डायरेक्शन बदलें, काम अटैक करने का तरीका बदलें, जो भी करना है वो. देन यू शुड बी एबल टू हैविंग अ गुड एनवायरमेंटल नॉलेज. अगर आप प्रोफेशनली साउंड है, आपका प्रोफेशन, आपकी जो है वो एक प्रकार की एक नॉलेज. साइंस ऑफ वॉरफेयर इज a very डिफिकल्ट एंड very साइंटिफिक एंड very कॉम्प्लेक्स अफेयर. आसानी से नहीं होता. वो जब तक आपकी पर्सनल इंडिविजुअल नॉलेज उसके बारे में की नहीं होगी, तब तक आप ना तो किसी को सही प्रकार से बता पाएंगे कि कैसे काम करना है, और नहीं आपको किसी चीज को करने का रास्ता मिलेगा. आपको अपनी काबिलियत पता होनी चाहिए, आपके हथियारों की काबिलियत पता होनी चाहिए, आपके इंडिविजुअल्स की काबिलियत पता होनी चाहिए, और वो सब आएगा आपको अपना पर्सनल नॉलेज बैंक को बढ़ाने के लिए. तो उसके बाद सबसे बड़ी बात जो एक मिलिट्री लीडर में होनी चाहिए वो है इनोवेशन. कोई भी चीज अगर आप टाइप्ड तरीके से करते चले जाओगे, प्रेडिक्टेबिलिटी जो है किसी भी मिलिट्री ऑपरेशन का एक बहुत बड़ा दुश्मन होता है. अगर आपने एक सेट पैटर्न बांध दिया और उसी पैटर्न से आप हमेशा चलते रहे, यदि से मान लीजिए आप कश्मीर में हैं, कश्मीर में आपकी पेट्रोल निकलती है, रोज सुबह 4 बजे पेट्रोल निकलेगी, 6 बजे यहाँ पहुंचेगी, 8 बजे वहां पहुंचेगी, 10 बजे वहां पहुंचेगी, 12 बजे वापस आ जाएगी. अगर आप ऐसा पैटर्न बना देंगे तो निश्चित रूप से चौथे दिन आपके ऊपर हमला हो जाए. अनप्रेडिक्टेबिलिटी और इनोवेटिवनेस. जब भी कोई आपको काम करना है उसमें नया थॉट, हर चीज की नई विचारधारा, ये थिंकिंग आउट ऑफ द बॉक्स जिसको बोलते हैं. तो a good military leader always thinks out of the box. A good military leader does not permit monotony to set in. He does not permit predictability to come into a thing. And if it does happen, you are asking for trouble. Then the knowledge of your particular domain, जो आप काम कर रहे हैं उसका आपको पूर्णतया ज्ञान होना चाहिए. Now these are the things, individual qualities, individual intellectual things that you must have. Now is what must you do as a military leader. You've done this. What must you do? The most important thing that a military leader has to do is to lead. And is to lead people to death, which I said in the beginning. आपका काम है आप अपने जवानों को उस लेवल तक इन्फ्लुएंस करें ताकि वो अपना सर्वस्व करने जाने की कोशिश में तैयार है. You are supposed to lead people to death. How will it happen? It will happen only and only when you lead by an example. Lead from the front. Vikram Batra, he's from my regiment. He had an option. जब वो 99 की लड़ाई चल रही थी, तो जब उसने पहला अटैक उसका सक्सेसफुल हो गया, उसके बाद उसके पास ऑप्शन था कि वो किसी और को भी कह सकता था आगे जेसीओ को या किसी और अफसर को भेजा सकता, लेकिन उसने उसके बाद ये निर्णय लिया कि भाई अगला अटैक भी मैं ही लीड करूंगा। अगला अटैक भी उन्होंने लीड किया, अगले पोस्ट को भी उन्होंने कैप्चर किया, और इस दौरान में अपने प्राणों को उन्होंने न्यौछावर कर दिया। वो विक्रम बत्रा थे। He was a captain, 23 years of age, young leader, but he motivated, he influenced his men because he did it with a personal example. Where it was most threatening, where it was the worst situation, both in terms of weather and in terms of enemy fire, he led both the attacks himself personally. This is a huge example for you. So that is how, if you lead by example, lead from the forefront, you'll be able to lead them. Then there is a system which exists in the army, a chain of command, but you have to influence people beyond the chain of command. Beyond the chain of command, when I say, you must be able to influence both, in fact, all three, the juniors, these peers, and also seniors at times. Also seniors at times, in fact, many a times. By giving a great example of yours. So you must influence by your act and by your tact the people, your peers, juniors, and seniors alike. And that influence will bring in the element of that fearlessness. That brings us to another quality, a great military leader, or even for that matter, any leader. I mean, these things are equally applicable to normal leadership also. Any leader has to be fearless. Anybody, any iota of fear or anything displayed by you in a battlefield or in an active environment or anywhere will take you, I mean, you will not be able to accomplish a task. I'll give you a small example. We had a reversal. I was in Baramulla, we were commanding my unit there. We had just about reached, and we had information. We went to a place by the name of Thabitganj, which is normally known as mini Pakistan in Kashmir. So we went there. On our way back, we were ambushed. 2 of my soldiers died, and that ambush actually was late for me, but fortunately God has been kind. Everybody was looking down and gloomy. So what we did, next day, same place, I took out a column myself. And normally a commanding officer does not carry the kind of weapons which men carry. You will not believe, I carried a medium machine gun with me, a medium machine gun personally. And I said, okay, let me lead, let me bloody be the first casualty. And that changed the entire environment. That changed the scenario. And that was the beginning of a great tenure in the Jammu and Kashmir, in the Kashmir Valley of my unit. They did well. I mean, why well and all, that is, these things we'll see later. So that is what I say, that you should be able to influence things beyond the line of the chain of command and lead by example. You have to create an environment, create an environment of positivity, create an environment of the victory inside. Create an environment of confidence. And that you can do only if you are doing it yourself and if you have trained your men well. If you've trained them not to lose anywhere, if you have made them habitual of winning, they will produce results. And that is the job of a military leader. Then a military leader also develops leadership. Basically, you find some places in political leadership and many other places, you find that there is a top-end guy and then there is nothing in the environment. So you have to develop your subordinates into who can then thereafter lead your men. So lead and then develop leaders is another important quality that a military leader must have. And finally, a quality that military leader must have is the quality to achieve results. You set your goal, set your vision, provide direction, but eventually what counts is what you achieve. What counts for Battle of Siachen Glacier of 8 Jackali, that Bana Singh and Naib Subadar launched an attack, highest possible altitude attack in the history of mankind. He achieved, and the place which he captured is today known as Bana Post, named after him. So you should be able to achieve your tasks. You set out to do a thing. अगर आपने निर्णय कर लिया है कि मुझे ये करना है, तो उसका परिणाम आपको नजर आना चाहिए। और ये परिणाम नजर तभी आएगा जब आपने ये उन लोगों को वो परिणाम पाने के लिए हर कुर्बानी देने का जज्बा उनके अंदर आपने बैठा दिया है और उनको उसके लिए तैयार कर लिया है। तो ये जो रिजल्ट ओरिएंटेशन है, ये एक बहुत बड़ी क्वालिटी एक मिलिट्री लीडर में होनी चाहिए। इसका आपको मैं एक दो उदाहरण बताता हूँ। रेजांगला के बारे में कुछ देर पहले मैंने बात करी थी। रेजांगला एक बहुत कठिन पोस्ट है कश्मीर में, और वहां पर 1962 की बात है। मेजर शैतान सिंह की 13 कुमाऊं की कंपनी वहां पर थी। 122-123 लोग थे वहां पे। 3000 चीनियों ने वहां पर हमला किया। कमांडर ने कहा कि आप वो पोस्ट खाली करके वापस आ जाए, लेकिन वो जो कलेक्टिव सेल्फ एस्टीम जो उस कंपनी की थी और उसके हर जवान की इंडिविजुअल सेल्फ एस्टीम जो थी, उसने उनको ऑर्डर्स के खिलाफ जाकर के उस पोस्ट को नहीं खाली करने का जज्बा दिया, और 123 लोगों में से 114 लोगों ने अपनी जान दे दी वहां पर। और जब उन्होंने, मतलब दिस इज मेरे ख्याल से एकमात्र जगह ऐसी है जहां पर कि चीनियों ने अपने जो डॉक्यूमेंट्स हैं उसमें किसी हिंदुस्तान के एक्शन, मिलिट्री एक्शन की प्रशंसा, भूरी भूरी प्रशंसा की है। और ये क्यों हो पाया? इट वॉज बिकॉज of that outstanding leadership of that man called Shaitan Singh, who rightly was given a Paramveer Chakra data, and the sacrifice which his entire company gave. The entire company laid down their lives. Entire company laid down their lives. Nobody, 100%. कहते हैं वहां जब देखा गया था उसको कि किसी के हाथ में ट्रिगर था, एक जवान के हाथ में ग्रेनेड था, मतलब that guy was, even when he was dead, he was ready to throw a grenade and kill people. So that is the kind of, and that's an example which everybody must know, that this is what your great army can do. And your great army does this because what you aspire to be a military leader, that military leader does that, influences them to be able to do that. That is what the military, that's what I say is the thing which people want. Same thing has happened in Galwan. Very recently, most of you would be knowing what has happened in Galwan. You would notice that most casualties that take place are the leaders, are the junior leaders, whether they are NCOs or JCOs, or even most of them are young officers. But be it Manoj Pandey, Vikram Batra, or anybody. In this Galwan also, the first man to die was the CO. A CO for a unit is a god. Is a god. I wish I had time to tell you an example. How CO is looked at in an infantry unit. And that man gave his life. He was the first one. That is an example of top-end military leadership. I belong to the unit which who busted the myth of Chinese invincibility for the first time in 1967. I hope some of you know that 1967 also had a skirmish with between India and China at two places in Sikkim, Chola and Nathula. My unit was at Chola. First time in the history where the Chinese were thrown out in a trial by fire. An attack by Indian Army. They attacked, threw away the Chinese from where they had come in. 1967. That's my unit. I've served people who were there that time in the battle. It was there was a question. It had become. I've been told by the people who led the men in that it became difficult to control. Everybody wanted to, just lead and go. It was very difficult to control them. Look, fellow, let's follow a particular plan. But जज्बा था प्राण देने का और जज्बा था प्राण लेने का. जज्बा था चीनियों को वहां से खदेड़ने का, क्योंकि उन्होंने करके दिखाया, चाहे वो नथुला हो, चाहे वो झोला हो, चाहे वो रेजांगला हो, चाहे ये हो. So these are the important individual qualities which are mandatory in a military leader. I just thought there are certain things which I wish I could tell you. Let me see if I have missed out something. I think it's okay. So anything, I'm done here. I hope I've not overshot the time. MP?
Yes, sir. We are well within the time, sir. And thank you very much. Now, before I open the questions, I would just like to remind my audience and the students who are listening what all sir has told, because all these things, it is just not listening to senior officers, their experience, but also to imbibe what they teach us. So individual personality of a leader. Let's just go over what all sir covered. He talked about military bearing. He talked about physical fitness, and I'm sure I have noted down all these points. Look here. I hope you also people have noted down. If you have not noted down, please revise with me, because these things he has spoken to you for you to imbibe. Composed in difficult times. People look up the leader. Be resilient, handle setbacks and failures, as well as success. Environmental knowledge, which we at AMAS, we focus on. Lot of general awareness, knowledge, environmental knowledge, or professional knowledge. And lead by example. Sir gave you n number of examples of young leaders going and achieving success daringly without the fear of their life. And lastly, he's told of us achievements and results is something which a leader must strive for. Sir, some questions are coming.
Yeah.
The first question is asked by Ashutosh Tiwari, and he's asking, sir, how to deal with your failures?
Ashutosh, can I see you? No, I can't. Anyway,
no,
Ashutosh.
He'll come. Ashutosh,
yeah,
you can come online and even ask what you want to ask.
Yeah, no, I understand.
Yeah. If you are online right now, you can ask.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Ashutosh, I have understood your question, how to handle failures. I tried to, very briefly cover it during the course of my talk. A failure must be considered. The moment you start loitering around in the realm of perfection, things will not be in place. A failure, a setback is an essential part of any plan, any journey of your life. How you must do it, look at the failure positively. I'll give you a very small example. Thomas Alva Edison, you heard of him? The guy who created a bulb?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So he failed 999 times. I hope you're aware.
Yes, sir.
And when 100th time he created that bulb, people spoke to him. Then he said that it is not that one way I know how to make a bulb. What I know is 999 ways in which a bulb cannot be made. So a failure must teach you how a thing should not have been done. So take positive lessons out of that failure or a setback, redefine your goals if need be, or redefine your route to the goal and proceed. The failure should give you, 1, a positive lesson, 2, urge to or a splurge into another direction for getting hold of that. A failure should never, that's why I said resilience. A failure should never deter you from your goal or your task. Task remains, you have failed here, choose another route, choose another manner, and carry on.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay,
Thank
well
you,
done.
sir. There's one more question coming from Prasanna. And sir, when we talk about military leaders, we are told about physical and moral courage. Can you please explain? And you also explained about staying composed in tough situation, how to remain composed if your own faith becomes weak or starts wavering.
See, 2-3 type parts of your question. One, how to
Ashutosh,
remain
put off your video now. Ashutosh, all of you keep your videos off.
Yeah.
And only the person who has asked the question can keep his video on.
Yeah.
Sir, please go ahead.
When you talk of moral courage, when you talk of, you should, at the time of that's what is taught to you during your training. When you know, you should have a tremendous capability to be able to distinguish between a right and a wrong. And the right must always be chosen. When you choose the right, you might find yourself alone in that direction, but that is the way. So the moral courage is choosing the right, even when a wrong seems an easier thing. You should be able to prioritize. You should be able to find out more important thing cannot be left at the mercy of a thing which is not more important. So a moral courage means you should know what is right, and then you should have the sense in you to be able to follow the right. Up to the extent, military has a different way of doing things. Maybe what you perceive as right, you may not be always correct. But moral courage is the ability to be able to decide what is right and then follow that right irrespective of what comes your way. 1. 2, when you talk of physical courage, if you are physically fit, if you have the basic knowledge of your profession, and if you have the basic knowledge of the way things must be done, there is no business for you to lack physical courage. But if you are not able to do it, I can tell you, there are people who have broken both their legs, they have come back and won medals in the Olympics. So what the issue is that physical courage is also dependent on your mental ability. Your deformity or the thing which is there in you should not impact the manner in which you do a particular task. 2. 3, how to remain composed. It is your mental strength. And that mental strength comes from training. You train. Another question which I am a number of times asked, that if there is no war or no activity, what does the army do? Then I tell them that look, when there is no cricket test match going on, what does Tendulkar do? He trains. And yet at times he gets out on 0. So same thing army does. It's not a cricket game. It's a game in which there is no second position. So if you have to train, prepare yourself both physically and mentally, and then you will find that neither will you have a situation where you will question your physical courage, nor will you have a situation where you'll have to think of your moral courage. And of course, resilience will make sure that no failure, no setback gets us.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir.
There are, could be more questions, but we are running short of time. And the next speaker is also here, sir. And I think next time would keep additional time for such a energetic talk by you, sir. And I think our students need this adrenaline, which you have to crack this exam they're aspiring for, and to become a junior military leader. We are indeed, sir, grateful to you for
thank you very much, my dear.
Your time and come and spoken to us. And I think this has been a really great session by you, sir. And my request is we look forward to some more time, and this time I'm surely going to have 1 hour or 1 hour plus unlimited time, sir.
Thank you very much, my dear. And before I leave, I want to wish all these students who are aspiring to be military leaders of future all the very best for their SSB or whatever way they are choosing to get into the armed forces. I wish you all the very best of luck. I wish you most, and I wish you more than most.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much.
Jai Hind from me
Jai
and
Hind.
from all the staff of AMAS Training.
Thank you very much. Jai Hind.
Hind.